Hello, welcome to the When I Have Spare Time podcast. My name is Frank, and I'll be sitting here talking to you for a few minutes. As usual, I'm wearing clothes. I'm wearing a red velvet t shirt, one of my favorite K-pop groups. They have five good looking members. That's pretty much the extent of it. If you're a heterosexual man or lesbian, you will really enjoy Red Velvet with the sound down, and I recommend it. Anyway, I received some good news today. Not that it was given to me, but I heard some good news. The Supreme Court got rid of affirmative action for colleges that receive state funding. So, like a private college, I guess, it, they could do whatever they want, but like, a college that receives public funds, they have to get rid of affirmative action, which is great because this country, so many things in this country have, I guess, dropped in quality because of affirmative action. You see it in just all aspects of life. I mean, even the Bud Light thing that's going on right now. With the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Okay, if you think that having a dude in a dress, and like not even a good-looking dude, like a dude that looks just nasty, a repulsive-looking man in a dress promoting your beer. If you think that's a good idea, obviously you're a diversity hire. The people who are hired to be in charge of that advertising campaign were not hired based on their, skills, qualifications. Those people were hired because they were, the right color, the right height, whatever they use for diversity these days. Okay, so I mean that's just one example. Uh, like look at the U.S. military. Our recruitment. I'm saying ours. Their recruitment is down, and I'm not gonna look up by how much percentage because I don't feel like typing. But you can do your own research, like I've said. Do your own research when you listen to this show. But Army recruitment is down, like so much that it's an issue. And if you look at the, recruitment ads, it's a bunch of woke nonsense. You got young recruits talking about their two moms. Like that's that's not gonna make people sign up. Well, it's just another example of the people in charge of the advertising obviously aren't qualified. And it's other. It's not just advertising. There's other. You got like the submarine that or the submersible that just imploded trying to dive down for the Titanic. Obviously, all the people involved in that were diversity hires because everyone who's a quote unquote expert, with like real qualifications, with like 20 years experience, talks about the litany of things that were wrong with the submersible. But then you see who was hired to build it and who was, just in charge of every aspect of it. Well, there were diversity hires. Even the CEO said he didn't want 50-year-old white men involved in it, so uh, affirmative action is a bad thing. And then also diversity. What does diversity really mean? You know, I'm wearing a nice hat today, so I think I'm diverse. But what does it really mean? I've seen I've seen titles like on news articles. I've seen titles the new diverse cast, or no, it was like the new diverse writing team for Star Wars. I'm paraphrasing on the title, but it was like when Kathleen Kennedy first took over Star Wars to ruin it, and it was like the diverse cast, not cast, the diverse writing crew. I keep saying cast, and they showed a picture of the diverse team Kathleen Kennedy hired to write Star Wars, and it was 12 women. There's nothing diverse about 12 women at a job. That's not diverse. At least it's not diverse to me. So, diversity is just, it just depends who the, I guess, owner of the term is. It's like diverse to me means like a bunch of hot Asian chicks from, some from Japan, some from China, some from the Philippines, a few from Korea. That's what diversity means to me. So, someone else looking at my definition of diversity is going to be like, well, that's not diverse. So, like, we got to get rid of that word diversity. You got to see it as this there's a human race. That's it. That's it. Okay? If you want to get diverse, like, hire some dogs, hire some cats, hire a few cheetahs, hire a monkey, you know, hire a caterpillar. I mean, it's you you have a good thing going. You have a human race with billions. I'm sure like, there's a billion people whatever. There's millions of people that are qualified based on, you know, experience, education, qualified like real qualified people to do any job. Okay? So if you're picking people based on anything other than qualifications, you're doing the world a disservice, you're doing your customers a disservice, you're doing your company a disservice. I mean, do you want a diverse person piloting your airplane as you take a flight to go see your in-laws, or do you want the best pilot? Do you care that the pilot is a black, trans, disabled lesbian? Do you care? Or do you care if the pilot can land the plane? Think about it. There's the only thing diverse is the definition, and the definition changes based on who's using it. So we just gotta stop pretending. And also, you know, whether you're a woman, a man, well, there's only two genders. So whether you're a woman or a man, tall, short, does it really matter if the person doing the job is short like you, tall like you, whatever, fat like you? Does it really matter? How is that going to make you feel better because someone else has a similar trait as you? That just makes no sense. People need to stop looking at other people for, I guess the word is a validation for their own existence. You know, you don't like you shouldn't need to see yourself in any of these things because people are people. You should change the way you think and just see people as humans and go, oh well, I'm human. I mean, I've heard some. I follow K-pop. For those of you that don't know, I started out doing a K-pop podcast. I did a K-pop podcast, a pop culture podcast, and a movie review podcast. That was roughly 700 podcasts ago. I know you've heard this a million times. Officially, the number of podcasts I've done is like 548, but I've done a lot more than that. But anyway, when I was doing the K-pop podcast, like you got to do research on these K-pop groups that you're talking about, and like you get a few stories that are like stupid and that you don't talk about on the show because it's not well. The whole point of all these podcasts is to be funny or entertaining, but you want a comedic slant to it, or in my case, a racist, sexist slant. Anyway, I forgot her name. It doesn't matter. But there's this one K-pop idol. She, like growing up, she was obviously a good singer and a good dancer, but she didn't know that she could make a living being a singer because she never saw an Asian woman on TV singing. She grew up in America, and I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like I've seen millions of people sing. I never once thought, oh, that person doesn't look like me. I guess I can't do it. That's just a stupid way of thinking. And it's like it's that mentality we have to get rid of. Now, obviously, the girl, she I guess didn't watch Asian TV because if you watch the Korean channel, there's nothing but Koreans singing and dancing on TV. But she was American, and so she's basing this on just watching American TV. But she didn't start doing K-pop until she was like in her teens, and she was discovered, quote unquote, discovered walking around some city in America. But whatever. But it's that mentality we got to get rid of. So it's basically we need to get rid of all the snowflakes and the sheep. But the solutions I have probably are illegal. So we have to move on. But when you're in college anyway, because this only affects college right now. When you're in college, I've been to college. I've gone to college. When I was walking around campus, I wasn't actively looking for diversity, but when I was on campus, it happened to represent the population. We live in America. I don't know the exact population. I'm not going to look it up, but it's roughly like 70% white. Roughly. I could be off a little bit. So it's like, 70% white, and I believe it's like, 13% black, in the, whatever. So you get it, but it's like 70% white. Let's just say like 13% black, say like, like 10% Spanish, the rest Asian, and like, they only count those couple of races. I'm sure there's more that were missing, but the college campus looked like that. It looked like a a slice of America, you know. So roughly 60% of the kids were white, roughly 10% were black, roughly 10% were Spanish, and the rest were Asian. And I didn't feel anything. I just felt like I was in society, but someone else would probably be like, "Oh, this isn't diverse enough." But it makes sense that it looks like this. Like, this is why quotas don't make sense. You know, who says that? Like, there's more white people in this country, so doesn't it make sense that there's going to be more white people at your job, your school, just because of the population. It has nothing to do with racism. It's like, oh well, there's 10 white kids in this class because they kicked out or wouldn't let 5 black kids apply. No, there's 20 million more white people that live in the city, so you're gonna get about 2,000 more people applying for this job or whatever. That's why diversity is stupid. The whole point of affirmative action was because and I'm using an educated guess, okay, that there were like factories back when things were racist, back when we had like segregation, all that bullshit, like, just back when things were still like really racist. So like, imagine a factory. The owner of the factory is, a racist white guy. So he's not gonna hire anyone other than white people. That's why they had it. It, it was to make the people of that generation stop being racist. But after a couple of generations, that kind of goes out the window because those people aren't in charge anymore. Those people don't have children. Those people aren't raising children, so their children aren't gonna, so because racism is learned. So after the first couple generations, and you have everyone, you know, being forced to work together, like the racism goes away. So now, by having the forced diversity, you're actually being racist towards like white people because now you're actively because diversity only means um, have less white people, and it also means have less men. Diversity is sexist and racist against men and against white people. If you really think about it, what does diversity mean now? It means less men, less white people. Now, if you replace the race and the gender, people would be having a fit. If you said less, whatever, less Mexicans and less women, there'd be like groups demanding that they change the law or change whatever the policies. But since we're all human, men count just as much as women, and white people count just as much as all the other races. So we got to get rid of diversity. So I want to commend the Supreme Court for making that decision, and hopefully now that um, affirmative action is out of colleges, well, colleges that get public funding, hopefully that'll spread to other things, and so we can start living in a society where the most qualified people are doing things for us, and that's going to help out a lot. And it should also get rid of you know well, I can't say what I want to say. Damn it. You can only be so racist on this podcast. I said enough. You guys have a good one. Talk to you later. Peace.